Hey guys, this Blitzy, Blitzy, come on, let's show them the tractor. This is the third time through. The first time my dear neighbor came out and wanted to talk, and I put the phone on pause and it timed out and died. Attempt 2, the phone again died. So I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna set this cheat sheet up here that you guys don't know I have. Don't let me lose it. I wish he'd start kicking divots of grass out behind him. Like he's a bull. Anyway, man. So I wanted to show some different features of my blade. Just in case a John Deere enthusiast stumbles across the vid, or in case some of you guys are interested that are hams and don't have a tractor with blade. So I bought this hydraulic 4-way blade. They call them 4-way. I guess meaning up, down, left, and right. It hydraulically angles left and right. It hydraulically lifts up, and it'll hydraulically press down, lifting the front wheels. Please, Blitzen. Lifting the front wheels off the ground. If you push the stick all the way forward, it puts it in float mode, so it can float with changes in height. Man, if I have to pause this, hang on. Come on, Blitzy. Making a video here, boy. Anyway, I got this blade for $500, and which is a fair deal. It was only damaged in one area. I don't know how good the phone will capture this, but this piece here is a U-shape, and you know, there you can see it. This had bent right outward like that. It still is down here. If you look down there, see how that's bent downward? I can only imagine it was done by this bracket being jerked that way hydraulically when attempting to tilt the blade, because there's a bolt missing back here. Underneath my finger is a big gruesome 1/2 inch or 5/8 diameter bolt that bolts this bracket to this channel. And this is another bolt that does. That's not just a pin that goes through that hydraulic cylinder shaft. That's actually a bolt. And you reef it down tight. And that bolt has a shank on it so that this can rotate around the shank. That just had a pin slid through it. Now that's just a pin. That big nasty bolt there, that's just a pin that the blade rotates on, right? That stays loose. And every time you tried to pull the blade, angle it that way, that bracket ripped itself right through there. Now, I didn't see that happening, but it's obvious that that's what was happening. Ideally, this blade will tilt to the right a lot farther than to the left. I'll show you in a minute. And ideally, this cylinder would be mounted back another 1/2 inch. That would probably equalize the two swings. But more importantly, what you really need to have happen when these cylinders are fully extended or retracted, you really need nothing to bind up, because they're strong hydraulic cylinders, and if something's preventing them from going through their full travel, that something better be damn strong, and it better be bolted good or welded good, which that obviously wasn't. Thus the damage. But it's fine. So now that cylinder can travel from lock to lock both ways with nothing binding. The same cannot be true. The same cannot be said of the cylinder that lifts the blade vertically. Now that cylinder, when you push the blade down, it'll lift the front end of the tractor off the ground, which it should. However, when you lift the blade up, got a little problem. And embarrassingly, I watched one of the subs here pointed out a channel to me that he thought I'd like, and I had already subscribed and been watching his stuff. I came across this channel when I broke my left leg, called Mustie One. M-U-S-T-I-E 1. Best mechanic I've ever seen in my whole life. He acquired a John Deere 318 with blade, and when he was hit, he resurrected the tractor, got it running nicely, and when he was testing his blade, he lifted it up and bashed that fitting into the front bumper, breaking that fitting off and flooding his garage with hydraulic oil. Now, maybe you can see in that view, maybe you can't, but I did the same thing after watching him, and at least in my case, I didn't break that fitting off. I just dented my bumper. And the reason why this happens, I've seen it in a million pictures of these blades. They have this fitting coming straight up, pointed up, you know, and it's going to bash into the bumper. Okay, what I wanted to do, after routing it in a fashion to minimize the contact, I could lift the blade at that point 14 inches off the ground before that fitting made contact, okay? Pause you. Had to get a mosquito off my arm. And so 14 inches off the ground, that's real high, that's great. And you want that, because sometimes you want to pull snow, you know, drive up to something like your garage door, drop the blade down and pull it back. You pull snow too. And so you want to be able to lift the blade up nice and high. And but I didn't want to, in the heat of things, when I'm in the chill of things, when I'm out there plowing, I didn't want to bash my hydraulic cylinder. And I noticed something. When I'm sitting up here, when the top edge of that blade is about right there on my hood, it's getting close to, it's at 12 inches high. My blade is a foot off the ground at that point, and I've got 2 more inches I can go. So what I did was to install this micro switch on here. And I epoxy glued the spring on the end of it so that once it activates, it has some more flexation. It won't bend it. I should have bought the micro switch with the long metal tab on it that's springy, but I didn't, so I made do with what I had. Made a bracket for the micro switch. When this cylinder contacts this micro switch and activates it, hang on. I was gonna have a secondary instrument panel. I was gonna build it to sit right up here, make it black. I was going to have a LED display for voltage, an LED display for amps, charging amps. I was going to have 2 toggle switches for auxiliary lighting, and I was going to have the blade warning indicators, okay? Well, I bought the parts to do that, the LEDs and everything, and ended up not doing that. Instead, what I ended up doing was wiring that micro switch to this instrument panel warning area. Normally on this tractor, I'll turn the ignition kit switch on, showing me low oil pressure, low battery voltage. I'm going to turn on the PTO. which would normally turn the mower deck on. See how it lit it over here? It used to be over here, which it should be, which indicates that your front PTO is engaged. Well, this tractor doesn't have a rear PTO. So I decided to move this lamp over to this location. They're just one of those quarter-turn connector lamp sockets, you know. I moved that one over to that location. I got another connector and mounted a lamp in that location. And I chose to put it there because it's easier. It's less likely to be hidden by the steering wheel hub. And so when that blade gets about 12 inches high, it'll flip the micro switch, lighting that amber indicator. And when that happens, I know I can bump it up another couple inches if I want, but I better be careful. And as it is, the way I'll use it is when I raise the blade, I'll bring it up to about where I know, close to where it'll activate. And then I'll just take the lever and bump, bump, bump until that indicator comes on, right? I'll demonstrate. Baby boy hates this mower. You want to see him go ape shit? Watch me start rolling. Hang on, let me pick the blade up. Oh, wrong one. Watch. Anyway, man. Okay. If the blade's all the way down, like now, I wanted it so that when I pull the blade and it's going up at full speed, I want to have wiggle room so I can let go of the lever in time before I bash parts together. Let me rev this up and I'll demonstrate. There, it activated. And that's how I'm going to use it. One moment. So baby boy and I wanted to show you these LEDs that I bought. I've taped them up right there so you can see them working. I kind of hated to use that amber indicator on that dashboard like I did for one reason. Let's connect our power supply. Because you see I've got a micro switch wired here. Because I felt that boy, I wish that light wasn't shining like that. Oh well. I wish this would focus better. Oh well. I thought it would be striking when that micro switch activated if you saw a light change from green to red, right? I thought that would be very eye-catching. And it would be. Right? But I want to talk about something else, man. Hang on. Welcome to my garage. Let me try to zoom in on that a little bit. And I shouldn't... Hang on. That's better. It's okay to make wing nutty video like I do, but not in a willy-nilly fashion. You can't wing nut in a willy-nilly fashion. So, let me show you something. My wiring. I chose not to fuse my micro switch and wiring to that panel indicator I installed. Why? I show you. This is that lamp, the panel indicator lamp. I ran its lead directly over to the fused side of the main 20 amp fuse. If that lamp, if you shorted that right there, what'll blow? Will it blow that fuse? Probably not. That wire will catch on fire. But it's 4 inches long, man. Nothing is going to happen. And if anything happens on the other side of that panel indicator lamp, if a short should happen to ground, what happens? The light comes on, you know. It's current limited by the current rating of that lamp, which is about 350 milliamps. about 1/3 of an amp it draws. In the beginning, and this is the unused other wire from my micro switch. I used a 3-conductor cable and brought all 3 conductors back, so that because I was going to use that green and red LED, and in the future I may change to that. But let's look down at something stupid. This is how I was going to do it right here. Let me zoom in a little farther. That's how I was going to do it. I was going to, this black is the common wire from that micro switch. I was going to take that black wire, fuse it, and then tie it to there. And I was going to run 12 volts all the way down to the center contact, the common contact on that micro switch, which is about 6 feet of wire, right? Why would I want to fuse my power lead and run the power lead all the way to the front of the tractor and then back again, as this micro switch switches the hot between these 2 contacts, and then at the dashboard end you'd have your red and green LEDs. That's stupid. I show you. Rather than that, hey, that's wing nuttery. Hang on, man. Rather than that, why not ground the common lead of that micro switch right at the micro switch? And then you only need to run 2 leads back to your dashboard. You run these, by the way, these 2 LEDs are 12 volt LEDs, so you don't need a dropping resistor. They have it internally. So let me flip my pointer around. Yeah, so you just ground the center, the common contact, and these 2 you run them back to the dashboard. You take the 2 anodes of your LEDs, and again you'll have about a 4-inch long wire over to that fuse. And if anything happens downstream in the way of a short, you just light that LED. The short will light that LED. You know, man. Anyway, let me look at my list and see what I'm forgetting. One more thing I wanted to show you on the plow. I'm just going to hit the lever and drop it down. They have provided a means of pinning it in place. That's why that hole's there and those holes under there. And if you want to lock that blade at any angle, you might use a big 5/8 inch, 6-inch long bolt like that, or a pin like that. I want to talk about my rock block. The rock. That's all the way up. That is all the way up. And underneath that block is about 4 inches of space, which is fine if you're only going to plow moving forward. But what if we got a foot of snow, man, and I need to go backwards in it, where I haven't plowed yet? You see, the rock block grew a yellow appendage. Let me show you what it's for. Those 2 pieces of 2x4, I'm gonna cut them to the same length and glue them to the bottom of the rock block, so that when you set it down, you're not setting it on my painted metal appendage. Now, I should have a tripod here, but I don't. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip that around. I'm going to flip it upside down and connect that end to the center link, the top link bracketry of the 3-point hitch. Okay? I have to pause you. I pause you. Hang on. And there you go, guys. That's mounted. I realized if I flipped it upside down and made a bracket to keep it from swinging back again, that and that's just a clevis pin that I slide through there. Put a clip on it. Forgot to grab the other washer. It's in the garage. My big reveal is blown. But I'll get this phone down about level with that block. So whereas I had about 4 inches of space before, the block is no longer the limiting thing. It's a hell of a lot higher than the rest of the tractor under there. So I felt a little silly painting my bracketry yellow to match. But what say you, man? Do I paint the block green? Do I paint it black? Do I leave it blue? More importantly, the front wheels needed touch up. The rims, I bought yellow paint, painted them. It's not the same as the back wheels or the seat or the label. They're not John Deere yellow. What do I do, man? Do I repaint them? I'm winded. Because I talk too much. But there it is. That's Blow's and Blitzy's mean green plowing machine. Thanks for watching, guys. What do you say, Blitzy? Blitzen? Blitzy? Want something to eat? Getting hungry? He's my best friend. We saved each other